a different feeling, morning meditation, as the seasons change. It's light here, but it's kind of only just light. And there's, by this time of morning in the summer, it's warm and the sun's kind of streaming in. And now it's just light. The trees still have a lot of leaves, but colours are changed, starting to fall. That sense of the coming of winter and the kind of quieter, darker mornings. And sort of intimacy that brings as well. All those years of monasteries and ashrams and very early mornings. I always associate the kind of first sit of the morning as being in the dark. And the monastery bell would ring at 4. And so getting up, getting dressed more or less in the dark, going down to the hall, sitting in the dark. First sit would be 4:30 to 6:30. And then, by the time the sitting would end, the light would have come. So I always have a particular kind of sweet feeling of the morning sit being in the sound is very quiet. Yes, I can just turn it up. Look at that magic. I was still on the chanting volume rather than the talking volume. So I assume that's much better now, right? I'm still seeing lots of messages about me being quiet, but I assume you haven't just quite caught up yet. Now it's better. Yeah. I was talking about the quiet of the mornings. Funny that I was talking about that with such a quiet voice. But just that feeling as we go into winter, dark, quiet, more inward sense of morning than by this time in the summer when the sun is shining and all. And just reflecting on the affinity I have, that love of dark mornings, that memory from monastery times where the first sit of the morning, whatever the time of year, the first sit of the morning was always in the dark because morning started early. So, here we are, sitting in the morning together and heading into that darker time of year. I hope you've slept well. It's, full moon time is often a time where just, some of us might notice it more than others, but, and then it always strikes me as strange that in some places or some contexts to talk about the energy of the moon and the way the full moon affects sleep. People are like, what? As if that's a sort of weird, some kind of weird hippie thing to, but the phases of the moon have a strong energetic effect. Women know that much more easily through recognizing the way moon is often tied to monthly menstrual cycles, right? Moon, month, menses, they all come from the same linguistic root as well. Moon energy affects the tides, right? So if women's period cycles and all of the seas and the oceans are responding to the moon, it's not at all unusual or surprising that the energetic effect of that changes our sleep cycles, our that clock we talk about, the something clock, which Could you raise your voice a bit? Really? Still now? It's, I could, but I've got all my settings are up at the levels that they're usually at. Circadian rhythm, thank you. And of course, yeah, it affects our sleep. I've turned the volume up a bit more. I don't want to overload the... Alright, sound is okay for some, not for others. If you're not getting sound, or you're not getting video, or you're not getting something, I think you need to do something from your side. Sound, it was fine. Yeah, sound is fine for some. Good. It's all good. All right, friends, let's just meditate. I was wondering this morning, so many of you appreciated that this very sort of embellied deep space meditation that we've been doing the last couple of days. So I wondered, and maybe I always hesitate to do this because of course there's a variety of views, but let's see. Either we can just carry on in that sense of just deep, belly-full presence in the same way that we have been all week, or we can expand out a sense to a sense of kind of openness or spaciousness, which will still be sort of grounded in the belly, but that sense of just allowing the expansiveness of embodied attention to kind of spread out and be more suffused, more expansive, more inclusive. So let's take a very unscientific little poll. Just put in the chat, belly or space. And let's see. Belly, says George. Belly, says Michael. Belly, space, belly, space, belly, space, belly, space. That's why I never do these polls. It doesn't help at all, right? There's just as many of one as there is of the other. Space, belly. All right, bit of both. We'll just start off in that same kind of deep belly space, and then we'll also open it up a bit to a sense of openness and space. All right, good. Let's sit together, friends. Wiggle your bum a bit. Roll your shoulders maybe. Take a deep breath. Make a sigh. And let all of that really just bring you into your seat. So taking your seat. Gathering your attention. It's like this that we enter together into meditation. Let your body become heavy, weighty, entering into sitting here with that sense we've evoked earlier in the week, sitting like a mountain. Let's just check through the posture a little bit, where these aspects of posture also activate elements, qualities of awareness. So, first that sense of heaviness, stability, steady posture. Steady posture. Stable awareness. Capacity of your attention to really settle and sink. To drop into a weighty sense of being here. And then the uprightness of your posture. Just checking with your attention, checking into and through your spine and feeling its length. A sense of uplift, space between your vertebrae. And that sense of an upright posture activating a bright awareness. Sense of a naturally wakeful presence. And then just checking in with your chest and shoulders. You might want to roll your shoulders back a little. Really let yourself feel the sense of space and receptivity in your chest. And kind of physical or energetic expression of an open heart. A sense of being receptive to the touch of life. Open posture. Receptive awareness. And then also feeling for that quality of ease and gentleness and relaxation in your posture. Like just letting everything soften and melt a little, like the muscles in your face. Letting your attention sort of drain down or wash down through your body, relaxing everything as it goes and gathering or pooling down in your lower belly, down in that deepest place wherein you can feel the movement of breath. Relaxed posture. Peaceful awareness. And then just it's like letting your muscle memory of practice, of presence, letting that lead so that you don't have to do anything to be here. Letting breath happen by itself. Letting your attention gather down in your belly as if your belly is the natural home of your attention. As if it's the center of gravity that gently draws awareness. As if everything can come to rest down here. Down where the swelling of the in-breath begins, down where the softening of the out-breath ends. Deep down here. lower belly, like a centre of gravity. Letting each thought die into this deep space down in your belly. Weighty, steady, deep sense of presence, deeply embodied, deeply receptive, deeply awake. Maybe you just need to keep reorientating your attention towards your belly. Just keep feeling for that lowest place where you can feel the first muscular movements of the in-breath. deep sense of soft belly, round belly, deep belly. That's there. Through and after the last felt movement of the out-breath. Or maybe you feel quite well established down in your belly, and you can, just like we yesterday, we were exploring, just feeling out the sense of depth or space, darkness or vastness, silence, peace, potency. The vastness and power of deeply embodied awareness, or deeply embellied presence. And if there's a kind of expansive feel, if your belly feels big, deep and open, then you might experiment with just following that openness or expansiveness, letting the sense of wakeful presence down in your belly, just letting it, without forcing in any way, just quite naturally, just letting it expand. It's interesting how simultaneously one can feel kind of just rooted in the belly center. And we can also have a sense that that center is somehow vast, that it encompasses the whole of bodily life and the space around, and that it kind of opens or spreads edgelessly. Blending with everything. Opening to and taking in whatever appears in experience. If your attention's a little flighty or dull or unclear, just focus on the dropping and deepening. Dropping thought. Dropping and deepening your attention down into your belly. Resting into the deep, quiet space down below the breath. Down in that womby space. And if there's some steadiness of your attention, some brightness of presence, then just letting that space open up a little, let it feeling for its expansiveness through the expansion of the in-breath. Feeling its space and openness. Through the relaxation of the out-breath. And abiding in the vastness, or abiding as this vastness. In that space between breaths. Letting that space at the bottom of the out-breath be a wordless space. An inconceivable space. An immeasurable space. deep, deep space in which natural phenomenon just play out. Natural sounds, natural sensations, natural thoughts, all coming and going unproblematically. All in some way part of a kind of vast or total harmony. A harmony which somehow we might recognize as the totality of existence. A totality in which we can rest. Resting into this deep space. Dissolving into everything. Awake. Right here. All right. I'm aware that, when we, in the meditation, when we evoke, like I was doing there, when we evoke a lot, those qualities of silence or stillness or depth or vastness or openness or peace or whatever, that's powerful and it's beautiful and it's evocative, right, in many ways, and it helps to you, hopefully, to actually, follow me in a way, or sort of into those kind of qualities. It helps to evoke those qualities and for them to come alive. And at the same time, it can also, if that's not what you're experiencing, because, sometimes not, I'm just a bit more tense or distracted or agitated or dull or sleepy or you're kind of ruminating on some issue or whatever. And so if that's going on, I'm aware that evoking these sort of liberating qualities can feel a little alienating. Or we can feel like, I'm not getting it, or as if everybody else is in some kind of fabulous, deep, open space, and I'm just stuck with my own mind. So, sometimes kind of focus on something a little more kind of just letting go and coming back, just sensing into breath, just letting go of thought. And sometimes kind of just evoke those deeper qualities. But please know that if that's not your experience, if the feeling of those qualities doesn't open up in any way, it's fine. It's natural. That's why we call it practice, because we have to do it many times, regardless of how deep it feels or how well it seems to go. It's really not helpful to measure one's practice. What's helpful is just we engage sincerely, and we kind of keep feeling for the deep and the beautiful, and we keep just dropping and not bothering with the the noisy and the clumsy and the usual stuff. All right. I can see from the comments that some people had trouble joining. There's not much point speaking to those people now because they won't be able to hear me anyway. But George, maybe we can follow up with Jake. It seems like something has updated, either in Circle or something, and that some people have found themselves sort of out of sync with that. And that maybe it's this. I don't know what Windows. I don't know anything about Windows 10, but maybe there's that. And exactly, where George, as he just says, will follow up with Circle, and maybe we can send out. So maybe Sangha Life can send out some kind of instruction to what people need to update or do in order to get back up to speed with with things, so as to be able to join. All right, friends. If you have questions or things you'd like to explore, feel free. You can type them in here, or I see. Oh, Natalie has just raised your hand, so you can also. We can try that. You can come on screen and engage that way. And just before we get into all of that, just a very brief reminder about dana. All of this, how it works. It's freely offered to you. And the only way that that's possible for Sangha Life to keep freely offering teachings and practice and community in this space online is if you all then freely offer your support. And that's a challenging model to make work. It's a beautiful model, right? But in order for it to work, it has to be, we have to freely give whatever we can. And I don't know what that means for you. That what freely giving what you can depends on your your wish to support and your appreciation you feel, and of course your capacity to support and your financial reality. So I don't know anything about that, but I would say if you value what's happening here, then please really consider how you might wish to support, and then follow through on that wish to whatever capacity you have. And if you make a dana offering today or any other day, please just connect with the goodness of heart that gives rise to that offering. It's beautiful, right? To support that which we value, and to see that as a kind of tangible action of support. It really makes a difference. Your dana makes all the difference. Your dana is what allows us to be here. So thank you in advance for the support that you offer today or whenever. All right. Okay, Natalie, let's see if we can... George, do you see that Natalie's raised her hand? And so let's see if we can let her come on screen, and we can... I assume that that's what you're raising your hand for, right, Natalie, is to come on screen and engage that way. No sign of Natalie. All right, well, I'll read Diana's question. Oh, yeah, here we go. Hey, Natalie, go ahead. Just need to unmute yourself. Hey, yeah, there you are. We can hear you and see you. Oh, no, now you muted yourself again. There we go, yeah, go ahead. No, and then you muted yourself again. That's good. Oh, is it that when you unmute, it's just remute? There we go. That's good.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
Hang on. How do I get rid of myself? I don't want to see myself on screen.
I don't know, but let's just don't look if you don't want to see yourself, but go ahead.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Martin. I thought I'd try and be brave.
Good for you.
So you talked yesterday about you saw thoughts as a bubble and emotions as waves. So I think my question is around waves of emotion and triggers. Sorry, I'm echoing. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very clearly and fine.
So that was a really challenging sit for me. There was really strong waves of emotion coming through, activated by a trigger actually from a conversation with my father from last night. I won't go into the historical wound. Sorry, I don't know how to ask my question succinctly. I suppose how to meet those strong emotions and triggers with love.
So what's the strong emotion? Is it anger? Or
I didn't realise it was anger until we started sitting.
Yeah.
Very powerful. I felt like I was being buffeted around and just really listening to your instructions and as much as possible just finding the breath in the belly and feeling it and then buffeted by the wave and then finding the belly again. But I think underneath it is deep hurt.
Yeah. So, you can't stop the wave, like we were saying yesterday when we used that image. You can't stop the wave from crashing, right? But maybe we could say you can forgive it for crashing. So you might try that with anger, just forgiving. I don't mean forgiving your father. I mean, maybe that might come later, but actually in the moment, just forgiving the anger for being here, forgiving the hurt for being here. What does that mean? It's like forgiving. It means being uncontentious. I mean, we don't like it. We don't like being buffeted by a wave, but we tend to add that second, what the Buddha calls the second arrow of it shouldn't be happening. I should be able to stop it. What's the matter? Why is it happening? And that's just not, it's not true that we should be able to stop it, and it's not helpful trying to stop it. So when I say forgiving it, I don't know if that works for you, that language, but it's the sense of allowing, we get buffeted, and then when I see that I'm starting to get into the thoughts of why is it like that, I just forgiving it. And then you come back to the belly, then you get buffeted by the wave again, you come back to the belly. That's what it's like, being caught in a big wave of anger and hurt. So how does that sound when I talk about forgiving it for happening?
Yes. I mean, that makes sense to me. There was a feeling of softening in the body, and that is what is so hard. That second arrow, as you say, there is all this stuff going on, and I think that the trying and the efforting and giving yourself a hard time doesn't help.
Definitely doesn't help.
I'll give that a go.
Understandable that we do it, of course, but really it's powerful to forgiving the waves of emotion.
Thank you so much, Martin.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being brave, like you said. All right. And then Diana says, I can have a brief yet deep sense of a vast nothingness in the belly at the end of the out breath, And I've also caught myself wondering if I'm checking if that is the case. So I can't help wondering whether I'm always trying to recognize or I'm indeed trying to experience that vastness and nothingness. Yeah, it might be, Diana. There's a way in which sometimes I think I said in the meditation, just feeling for that sense of depth and space. And of course there can be a little difference between just feeling for it, just like and trying to make it happen in some way, and then the doubt about that, or the what am I doing? Am I doing it right? So just, it's like, oh, when in doubt, when you get into any kind of simplicity, knot of complexity, just keeping it be simple. Is it right? Just make for yourself, see if you can, even now as I'm saying it, can you recognize the difference between feeling for, right, which is like, it's like you're down here, feeling for ease, depth, space, openness. Whereas wondering, oh, is it happening? Is this what I'm supposed to be happening? How does it feel? How do I make it that's up here, right? When you get busy with it, then you've gotten a little tense and a little complicated, right? And just making that connection clear, and then, just dropping it, not feeling for anything special. You're just dropping down, sensing into your belly, not needing it to feel extra vast or extra deep or extra spacious or extra in any way. And just, softening. And then, it will. There was a sense of, that's the nature of an open, relaxed belly centre. When I say belly centre, a sort of energetic centre in the way we've explored in previous days. The nature of it is that the sense, just like the nature of being in an open heart is experiencing love. Right? The nature of being in an activated, wakeful head centre is clarity, brilliance, right? Space. The nature of being in a relaxed belly is depth, vastness, in that way. So you don't need to worry about whether those things are there or whether you're experiencing them or what you need to do to experience them. You don't need to do anything. Anything you try to do to experience them will get in the way. So just keep softening into the belly, regardless of how it feels or whether it feels right or anything. Just softening. That's that sense of, I also often talk to people about trusting in the goodness of your practice, right? And not measuring the results. Yeah. And again, you're probably just like that Hilary and Heidi both said that Natalie's question helped. And I'm sure in the same way, Diana, that others can relate to that sort of, kind of checking or measuring and then making the process a bit more complicated. Yeah. All right. How are we doing? Janie? Janie has her hand raised. Do you want to try? We've only got a couple of minutes, Janie, but we can try. If you want to come on screen. If you want to activate your microphone and your video. Alright. Maybe you don't want to come on. Maybe you press the hand raising button by accident. I'm not sure. Alright, well I think we'll end there then, friends. So thank you for your presence and your practice. Thank you especially for all the little encouragements that you post to each other in the chat. I'm sure it's very helpful for people that ask questions, for example. It's really helpful then when others sort of empathise with that, and can feel kind of risky, like we heard, right? Like we heard about that sense of feeling brave to come on screen. Can feel risky. And so it's helpful when you see that others appreciate your question, and it's a helpful reminder to others who may feel more shy, right? Some may feel too shy to ask a question, but it's good to see, right, that others appreciate your question in the same way that you find other people's questions helpful. In that exact same way, others will find yours helpful and will empathise with you. So when the opportunity for questions is there, please be brave when you can and step forward. All right, friends, please go gently through the day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you.